10 Worst Muscle Cars to Buy. 1. 1971 Ford Mustang Mach 1. The 1971 Ford Mustang Mach 1 was a significant departure from the earlier muscle car models. While it still had the muscle car look, its performance suffered due to stricter emission regulations. The engines available in 1971 were smaller, and the car became less aggressive compared to the iconic models of the previous years. Its handling was also less refined, making it more challenging to control on tight turns or at high speeds. Additionally, the car's interior was seen as cheap and lacked the luxury feel that many other muscle cars had. For collectors, finding a well-maintained 1971 Mach 1 can be a challenge due to lower build quality. It's one of the least desirable Mustang variants, with poor resale value and limited performance compared to its predecessors. 2. 1973 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. The 1973 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am had the performance image but was hindered by underwhelming power output. In the early 70s, muscle cars were dealing with stricter government regulations, and the 1973 Trans Am was no exception, with horsepower numbers that were well below previous Trans Am models. It's often considered one of the worst muscle cars to buy due to its sluggish acceleration and heavy curb weight. The car's design also felt dated by 1973, with less aggressive styling and more emphasis on comfort rather than performance. The interior quality was mediocre, and it didn't offer the driving thrill that fans expected. Despite being an iconic nameplate, the 1973 model struggled to maintain the popularity of its predecessors. Many collectors are better off looking for a later or earlier model with more desirable features. 3. 1971 Chevrolet Camaro SS. The 1971 Chevrolet Camaro SS is considered one of the worst muscle cars to purchase, mainly due to its underwhelming engine options. By 1971, the SS package wasn't as powerful as it was in previous years, with the best engine being the 396 V8, which still wasn't as exciting as earlier muscle car engines. The 1971 Camaro was a heavy car, which reduced its handling performance significantly. It also lacked the design charm and aggressive features of its previous generations. Buyers at the time were left with a muscle car that didn't live up to the hype. The car's resale value is lower compared to other muscle cars from the same era, and it's harder to find in good condition. If you're looking for a classic Camaro, the later models would likely be a better investment. 4. 1974 Dodge Challenger. The 1974 Dodge Challenger is often regarded as a missed opportunity in the muscle car world. This model marked the end of the first generation, but by this time, the muscle car era had already begun to fade due to rising insurance premiums and stricter environmental laws. The Challenger in 1974 had weak engine options, with the most powerful being a 360 V8, which didn't deliver the same raw power that the earlier models did. Performance was sluggish, and the car's handling was less agile compared to its competitors. While the styling was still aggressive, the overall experience didn't live up to the muscle car legacy. The interior was also cheaply built, with low-grade materials that detracted from the driving experience. For muscle car enthusiasts, the 1974 Challenger is often a disappointing purchase due to its lack of performance and desirability. 5. 1975 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray. Though the 1975 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray carries the Corvette name, it's not exactly a muscle car enthusiast's dream. By 1975, the car's performance had significantly dropped, with an underwhelming 165 horsepower from the base engine. The Stingray, while still stylish, lacked the aggressive speed and handling that made Corvettes famous. The 1975 model was also heavily impacted by the oil crisis, leading to reduced power and performance. The car's heavy weight and soft suspension made it feel less responsive, which disappointed many performance enthusiasts. Additionally, the interior of the car felt outdated, with less attention to luxury compared to previous generations. For anyone looking for raw muscle car power, the 1975 Corvette Stingray would be a letdown. 6. 1972 Oldsmobile 442. The 1972 Oldsmobile 442 is one of those muscle cars that fails to live up to expectations. By 1972, muscle cars were starting to lose their edge, and the 442 was no exception. The performance of the car suffered due to reduced engine options and lower horsepower ratings due to new emission standards. The handling of the 442 wasn't impressive, with a heavy and somewhat clunky feel. While it had some stylish features, it wasn't as aggressively sporty as some of its competitors in the same class. The build quality of the car was also a concern, with many owners reporting issues with rust and reliability. Overall, the 1972 Oldsmobile 442 doesn't deliver the exciting muscle car experience that fans were hoping for. 7. 1973 AMC Javelin. The 1973 AMC Javelin was an attempt to compete with the bigger muscle car names, but it fell short in many ways. It had a heavy and sluggish feel, which didn't compare to the more nimble muscle cars of the era. The engine options were underwhelming, with the largest engine being the 401 V8, which didn't pack the same punch as the engines in competitors like the Mustang or Camaro. The Javelin's styling was also somewhat bland, lacking the distinctive features that made other muscle cars stand out. While it had potential, the car failed to deliver the performance and excitement that muscle car fans expected. Additionally, the Javelin was plagued by poor build quality and reliability issues. Today, it's one of the more difficult muscle cars to restore or maintain. 8. 1970 Mercury Cougar Eliminator. The 1970 Mercury Cougar Eliminator was originally seen as a performance model, but it didn't live up to its potential. While it had the classic muscle car look, it was weighed down by a number of issues, including sluggish acceleration and underpowered engine choices. The Cougar Eliminator wasn't as refined as its competitors and often had performance issues that made it less reliable. The interior was uninspired, and the car's overall handling didn't make it stand out in the competitive muscle car market. Despite its relatively low production numbers, it doesn't have the following or value of other classic muscle cars. With limited power options, the Cougar didn't deliver the excitement muscle car fans craved. It's a less desirable model when compared to other cars from the same era. 9. 1971 Plymouth GTX. The 1971 Plymouth GTX was a notable muscle car in its time, but by the early 70s, it had started to lose its muscle. Due to government regulations and rising fuel prices, its performance dropped significantly, and its engine choices were less impressive than in previous years. Despite its aggressive appearance, the car was heavier and less responsive than its muscle car competitors. The interior quality was subpar, and the overall build left a lot to be desired. Many owners found that the GTX didn't live up to its reputation in terms of power or handling. The 1971 model also saw a decrease in production numbers, which has affected its overall value today. It's considered a poor investment for those looking for a reliable muscle car to restore or drive. 10. 1972 Dodge Charger. The 1972 Dodge Charger is often considered one of the least desirable models in the Charger lineup. The car's performance was heavily impacted by the stricter emission laws, and the engine options were weak compared to earlier models. The heavy body and reduced horsepower made it less exciting to drive, and its handling was less responsive than expected from a muscle car. Its styling was also dated, with less bold lines compared to the earlier Chargers. Additionally, the interior quality was cheap, and the car lacked the refinement that was expected from a top-tier muscle car. As the last of the first-generation Chargers, it was overshadowed by other cars on the market, making it a poor investment for those looking for power and performance. Today, the 1972 Charger doesn't hold much appeal for muscle car collectors.